Listen, I built websites on a lot of platforms, and the one question I always ask is, will this tool get out of my way and let me actually design? Framer does. Let me show you. I'm Pallen, a brand strategist. On this channel, I share practical advice to help you build and grow your brand. Today, I'm partnering with Framer. I love this tool. We're gonna walk through how I built a professional website. Today, my client is Javier Sanchez, a travel content creator with a bold editorial brand. Framer has become, honestly, one of my go-to recommendations for clients who need a website that feels completely custom. We've got several clients that actually we've chosen this platform over others like WordPress or Squarespace because it is the perfect platform for creative freedom balanced with structure. You're gonna see that today. What makes Framer different is how it's built. Rather than a simple drag and drop tool, it uses constraint-based positioning. Elements are placed relative to containers with precise control over spacing, alignment, and structure. It's how the web actually works under the hood, which means what you design in Framer is actually what ships. If you've ever used Figma, the logic feels immediately familiar. Framer even describes itself as an internet canvas, and after using it for several client projects, I'd say that is exactly right. So here's what we're covering today: how I design with full creative control on Framer's canvas, how I set up integrations so Javier's site actually works for his business, how I built a CMS so he can manage his own content without having to be a developer himself, and how I published and handed the site off. So let's get into it. Let's start with this. Everything in Framer is positioned relative to its container. So you get to control spacing, alignment, padding, all through the right-hand panel here, not by dragging elements wherever you want. Think of it like containers within containers. So a section container holds a content container, which holds your elements, and each element has its own spacing rules. Let's take this logo, for example. Now I set it to relative positioning, which means it sits naturally within the navigation container and respects all the spacing rules around it. I could also set it to absolute, which would pull it completely out of the layout flow here, let it sit anywhere on the page, regardless of what's around it. Or sticky, this would make it follow the user as they scroll. That wouldn't make sense. But relative was the right call here because I want the logo to behave as part of the nav, reflow correctly across breakpoints, and then stay predictable. All of this to say, because the layout is structured this way, what you design is exactly what gets built. There are no surprises when it goes live. It's very important. For designers coming from tools like Figma, this feels immediately familiar. For everyone else, there might be a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. Also, if you want a more freeform experience, Framer has design pages, which work closely to a traditional canvas. Those are great for things like social assets, banners, exploring visual concepts. But for web pages, the container system is definitely how you build. Now, once you're comfortable with that system, the insert panel opens things up. The creative category alone has so many cool things in it: wave patterns, grid patterns, tickers, carousels, production-ready elements that would take hours to build elsewhere. And then anything else you build can become a reusable component. Create a navigation, a button, or a full section once, and it stays consistent across every page. And you update it once, and it updates everywhere. Javi's brand has a very specific visual language: bold type, high contrast, editorial energy. So I needed a tool that lets me execute that precisely. Let me show you how Framer handles design at a super level of detail. Now, before we even open Framer, I want to show you the brand that we're working with. This is Javi's brand. I'm going to scroll through quickly. That hero image shows everything that he represents: this bold typography, lime green accent color, lots of full bleed photos. You're seeing here the logo system, a really dynamic toolkit he's got here for colors, built around 5 Pantone values, some great iconography here. Again, I'm scrolling fast just so you get an idea: typography. And then web execution. This is what immediately influences the design project. That photography I mentioned in great bold typography. We take direct inspiration from sections like this and bring it to life in Framer. Where should I start? Well, text behaves exactly like it does in a professional design tool, so you've got full control over the typeface size, weight, letter spacing, line height. You don't have to worry about snapping to preset values. Framer supports Google fonts natively, but you could also upload custom fonts too, which we've done here. This is essential if you're working with a client who's already got established brand typography. And then global text styles means that a single change to your H1 cascades across your entire site instantly. You don't have to hunt down every instance. That takes forever. The layout panel gives you pixel level control over things like position, size, fixed versus relative positioning, which we talked about, overflow, border, shadows, and effects. This is also where breakpoints live. Let's talk about that for a second. Framer is a desktop-first platform, so you build and style the desktop version first, then you work your way down to tablet and mobile. In this case, I've got mobile, but I could add tablet if I wanted. The important thing to know is that the changes you make on desktop flow down to other breakpoints, but changes that you make on mobile stay on mobile and don't affect desktop. So you always start at the top and then work your way down. Mobile doesn't auto-optimize, but if your container structure is clean from the start and you kind of chip away at it while you work on your project, there's usually much less to adjust than you might expect. And by the way, designing in Framer is completely free with unlimited projects and pages. You only pay when you launch on a custom domain. So that is just a great opportunity to hop in here and try it for yourself. It's one thing to watch me, but get in here and actually try it. A beautiful site that doesn't function properly is just a pretty picture. For a content creator like Javi, the site needs to grow his email list, showcase his social presence, support the content that actually runs his business. Framer handles all of that natively. Yes, let me show you Framer's insert panel, and I want to walk through the integrations that I think matter most for a client like Javi and potentially you. For email, you've got MailChimp, Kit, and Loops. These are built right in. I can drag the element in. Then I could connect Javi's account. His sign-up form is live. I think he's on Flowdesk, so I would just integrate that in a different way. But with these integrations, you don't have to worry about third-party embed code or extra setup. That's pretty awesome. For social proof, Framer has a native Instagram component, so that lets you display specific posts directly on the site. You just click this. For a travel creator, that's obviously very important if Instagram is one of the platforms that they're creating on. I'm going to show you the Google Map component that we created when we get to the blog post, the CMS. Beyond those, Framer's integrations library covers a lot of ground. Calendly for bookings, Lemon Squeezy, Gumroad for selling digital products, HubSpot for lead capture. For a content creator who wants to eventually monetize, all of these are here and ready to connect. Every client asks me the same question: can I update this myself? And the answer has to be yes. But the follow-up question that I ask is, can they update it without breaking the design? That's where Framer CMS comes in. That's where Framer comes in, and this might be one of the features I think I'm most excited about, Framer's CMS panel. So I'm going to show you how we set it up for a content system for Javi to manage on his own. The first thing you'll notice that we actually have two separate collections set up for this site. There's the blog, which we'll spend time on today, so those are holding the individual travel posts, and countries, which is a separate collection for filtering and organizing content by destination. So both of these are completely customizable. We plan to build these out. You define exactly which fields exist, and then you can build as many collections as the site needs. They can even be connected to each other. So a blog post can reference a country entry and pull in related content automatically. There's so much you can do here. What makes this powerful is the dynamic page system. So I designed the blog post layout once, and Framer automatically generates a styled page for every single CMS entry using that layout. So every new destination he adds, it gets its own page instantly with zero extra design work on either end. And I feel like the separation of content and design is exactly right for a long-term client relationship. So he owns what goes on the page. I own how it looks, right, as a branding agency. But if I ever need to update the layout months from now, I just have to change it once and every page reflects it immediately. So for anyone managing like a client retainer, that alone is well worth the switch. Now, I mentioned I'd show you the Google Maps component. Let's have a look at it right now on this site. Custom built, but it's a reusable component, so it can just be dropped into any blog post or page. Javi clicks into it, swaps the map location, and that's it. It matches here, in this case, Naples, restaurant guide, or a Rome itinerary, whatever you want. He just updates the address, no developers needed or embed code, etc. It's all just built in and designed for him in a very practical yet detailed way. Now, just one more thing I want to show you before we move on, because this is one of those features that sounds small, but this completely changes how a client interacts with their site. That little pencil icon that they can see logged in on the actual page of the site, could be a live page or a CMS entry like this, a blog post. They can edit text, swap images, update URLs and content directly on the page, exactly as it appears to visitors. So there's no hunting through the back-end panel trying to figure out which field controls or which piece of text on screen to change. You can just click it and change it. So maybe Javi's making an update to his About page or correcting a detail in this Naples post. The experience is exactly the same. You just click edit and then done. So for clients that aren't particularly technical, this is one of the features that makes them genuinely feel confident about managing their own site. And for me as the designer, it makes fewer, hey, can you just change this one word emails landing in my inbox 6 months after launch. Last step, and honestly, publishing in Framer might be my favorite part because it removes what is usually the most stressful moment of any client project. I mean, publishing in Framer is just one click. Right now, Javi's site is being built on a Framer provided URL, which I'll remind you is free. And we're gonna do this until we finish the build. We still have a little bit to go before we launch it, but then when we do, we'll connect his custom domain right from the domains panel, and that's pretty straightforward. I also wanna show you here what most website builders don't offer at all, and that's staging and version history. Every time you publish in Framer, it saves a version. So you can see exactly what's changed, when, who made the change. I mean, maybe you've seen this on a platform like WordPress, but it doesn't exist on Squarespace and other similar DIY website builders. Honestly, that has gotten me into so much trouble over time. You make a change, something goes wrong, there's no safety net in Framer. There's always a way back. Finally, I mentioned that hosting is included on a global CDN, so load times are fast out of the box. Also different than other website providers. And the pricing is really, really competitive and affordable. The basic plan starts at $10 a month, the Pro is $30, and again, you only pay when you're ready to take that site live on a custom domain. And that is the full build, from blank canvas to a site that's ready to launch, all inside Framer. What I keep coming back to is how much creative control Framer gives you without adding complexity. So many tools do that. For Javi's project, I didn't compromise a single design decision because the tool wouldn't allow it. That's rare. That's very rare in web design. And if you build websites for clients and you want that level of freedom, creative freedom, make sure you try Framer using the link in the description. It is free to start and you only pay when you launch on a custom domain. Drop a comment and let me know, are you currently building client websites? What tool are you using if you found this helpful? Also, hit like, that helps other people discover these videos that we work hard to create for you. And subscribe for more videos on branding, positioning, and building a business or a brand. I'm Pallen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.